guys, Matt here at Rec Brewery. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. It's been a minute. Just life got in the way. We adopted our grandson over the holidays, and with school, and my daughter's been doing modeling. Yeah, it's just been very busy. So finally had a chance to dust off the rig here, and I want to keep this intro short because I did capture a lot of brew day footage, and I am going to have to truncate it down just so that this isn't a hour-long video. But I think I was just so excited to be getting back to the swing of things that I just took a video of every step of the process, as if it were a brew day 101 course. So apologize in advance for that. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. This is actually the second. I had a couple of the Gary, main brew guy Gary. He sent. This is his version of the Berliner Weiss that me, Gary, Dennis, and Dave all did. We did sort of a collaboration. We all made a Berliner Weiss and put a different fruit in it. This is going back a ways though. This was done at the end of 2021. Now, to be fair, he did send me like 3 of these. I've had the other ones when they were fresh. This one just sort of got tucked into the back of the refrigerator. So let's see how it aged. The others are long gone, mine included. There we go. It's got a good pop on it. Some good bubbles rising. So carbonation has held, it looks like. Just leave a little bit of that behind. Look at that. You really can't complain about that. This has been in the can for, you know, what, a year and a half? And look at that. It's still clear as a bell. You can see straight through that. I can see my logo on the other side of the glass, no problem. And yeah, it's got a good fingerhead on the top there. Nice tight bubbles, good frothy top on it. That's not going anywhere. But you can just see the bubbles rising through like an upside down snowstorm. Looks great. Yeah, it still smells amazing. You can still pick up on that passion fruit. Definitely a very fruity aroma to it. Cheers. Man, that tastes about as good as when it was fresh. That's great. Definitely getting a lot of that, getting some of the sour notes, you know, from the Berliner Weiss style, from the Philly sour yeast that we used, and also some of that's coming off of the fruit as well. But very flavorful. Yeah, this experiment was great. A little collaboration we did. The beers all turned out wonderful. I'm trying to remember who did what. Gary did the passion fruit. I think I did mangoes and raspberries. I can't remember now what what Dennis and Dave did. I want to say somebody did blueberries or blackberries, but it's been a while now. I don't remember it. I apologize for that. But they were all awesome when they were fresh when we did this. Well, I'm going to keep this intro really short because I don't want this video to go too long. But the brew day went great overall. Was nice to kind of just dust everything off, use it. I did have a couple of glitches. You know, what would a brew day be if it went smooth and perfect? So it definitely helps to kind of re-educate and just sort of reaffirm the process and everything as you go through and you hit those bumps and you have to pivot. That's pretty much what I had to do. So without further ado, we're going to get to the brew day footage, and while you guys are watching that, I'm going to enjoy the rest of this. Happy Homebrew Wednesday, everybody, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. Cheers. All right, back at it again after a little bit of a hiatus. So we're mashing, sort of a step mash in a way. I kind of doughed in at like 140, so I'm just letting it rise up the rest of the way to 152. Had a little bit of a snag with the temperature probes again, but I think it might be because it's just really cold here. So the first few minutes they were kind of acting up, but everything seems to have balanced out. But yeah, getting going here. All right, the mash is at about 150. It's been going for a few minutes. Still coming up to temp, so we're going to take a sample. Put it in some ice water, bring it down to room temperature so we can see what the pH is. Alright, so after I add a little bit of pickling lime because it was actually a little bit low. So aiming for that 5.2 for this beer because it's a light beer. And yeah, just a little bit goes a long way. I think I only put in maybe, I don't know, what is this? Quarter teaspoon. So I probably put in an 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe. So not much. Doesn't take much. It wasn't 505. So now we're doing good there. And hey, look, we're doing some multitasking while we're at it. Got my keg washer going. Never got around, just never had time. These are the 2 kegs that were in the kegerator. Kegerator is now empty. Sad day. So yeah, this definitely needed to happen sooner, but just didn't have time. But yeah, we gotta. We're trying to aim for. I was aiming for like a 150, 152 mash, so that's pretty good. And we're about halfway through the mash now, so we are getting there. Well underway after a nice long hiatus. I probably haven't brewed in 6 months. So getting back on the saddle again, and let's hope I don't screw up too much. There's always a snag. All right. These started looking really good. The krausen has finally dropped out. It's been going for probably about a day and a half. Maybe about a day, actually. I think I set this up yesterday morning about the same time. This is the Kvike Juggernaut from Maniacal. Love that yeast. I try to keep it around. Pulled out all my hops. Alright, just measuring out our hops. Shout out to BrewTuber's official hop sponsor, Yakima Valley Hops. I got a little bit of hops here that I'm just using up, left over from, I've had some from last year and the year before. Bitter Gold going in for bittering. That's actually from Hopsteiner. And then from Yakima Valley, I got some Fuggles and some Strizzle Sprawl. Just happen to have a little bit left over, like a 1/4 ounce of each. This beer is not supposed to be high on the IBUs or about the hops at all, so I'm going to put them in later on just to add a little bit of depthness to the beer. But yeah, Yakima Valley hops. Okay, now we've started sparging. I filled that boil kettle. Oh, looks like I have to work on the rate a little bit. Don't want to go too fast. It's maybe a touch too fast. Should be okay. Of course, we need to match the rate here. So I'll be playing with this for the next couple of minutes, but yeah. Go ahead and keep that heat in. And in a couple minutes that grain bed will start to compact down, and you should have a couple inches above the grain bed, which is what we're going to aim for here. So, a couple of minutes it'll get there. Okay, so we have to sparge with looks like 4.5 gallons roughly. Keep an eye on that. I'm still gotta mess with these volumes ever since switching to Brewfather, and I've only done it a few times, so I'm still sometimes a little bit short on the volumes, but the clip is set where it needs to be for that, and I'll just keep an eye on how much we're transferring over here. We need to get 7.5 gallons in the boil kettle. And of course, it is a little cloudy. It is a lot of wheat in this beer. It's 50% wheat, 50% Pilsner, give or take. Got a few ounces of carrot pills in there and some torrefied wheat just to help out a little bit with the head retention on it and some of the clarity. But yeah, loving this tablet. This is that Samsung S8 Plus that I picked up last year. I think I did a video on it, and I got my Brewfather running here with the timers and all. Of course, there's timers on the panel as well. I really only use the timer on the panel for mashing and for the boil. I don't really use it for like sparging or anything else really. I just kind of eyeball it, and after doing it for so many years, you just kind of know what to do when. So it is nice to have those reminders. If I'm in the other room, I can turn this alarm on and know exactly when the mash is over, when the boil is over, so I can rush back in here if I got sidetracked. But Brewfather's great. If you guys haven't checked this out, it's a pretty awesome utility. Beersmith is good too. Brewfather I like because it's all in the cloud. It's got a few more features, and it just works for me. I'm still dialing it in. If I brewed more, I'd probably already be there. But yeah, we'll get there. Hey, we're gonna come out with some really good beer regardless, so it doesn't matter. or let's hope it's a really good beer. We're making a cinnamon or apple cinnamon wheat. A friend of mine gave me the idea to do an apple wheat beer, and I said, hey, why don't we add some cinnamon in there, make it a little bit fall related. We're supposed to be a fall beer, but yeah, time just didn't allow me to do that. So here we are in January, brewing our fall beer. So I just wanted to show you, I did a couple of kegs today, the 2 that were in the kegerator, and this is the 5-star SaniClean. I like to use the SaniClean when I'm dealing with pumps. I mean, I'll use the Star San as well, but when I'm doing something like this where the pump's running for, say, 20-30 minutes, I definitely like the SaniClean because it keeps the foam down. With the Star San, I found that the foam is all over the place with these pumps. It's not so bad with the rig over there with the Star San and the kettles. I more notice it here with the kegs. So I like to do the SaniClean, and look at that. I don't know if you can see that. You can sort of see the shine in there. The lighting's not the best going into the keg, but yeah, it does a great job cleaning out these kegs. Just set it and forget it with a pump, and you're good to go. So now I'm going to hook all this up into the kegerator, probably after I'm done brewing, and clean out all the lines. I bought some liquid line cleaner to try. Usually what I do is I just run like the SaniClean or the PBW or the Star San even through all the lines. I figured I'd give this a shot. I've never used it before, and we'll see how it does. Alright, so now that we're over the element, we're over the temperature as well. Still sparging, but I like to go ahead and kickstart this. I was messing around with this the other day, so I'll set to my normal 200. So we're going to go ahead and set this to 200. Kickstart that boil. That way it gets up there, and when we get the volume, it won't take long at all to hit the actual boil point. So after a minute here of it cycling, it should kick on that element. There we go. Alright, the sparging is done. We were aiming for 7.5 in the kettle. We ended up with 7 3/4. It's starting to swell a little bit now, but I will call that a win. There's probably a little bit left in this kettle, the mash kettle at the bottom, but it was pretty much getting to the bottom of that and finished. So I will call that a win. So hopefully we got our numbers dialing in now with the software, and after the hiatus. But as you can see, we're aiming for the boil volume 7.51, and we are trying to do a batch. The batch size is going to be 5.5. I kind of do that just so I can make sure that I get 5 gallons. Or sorry, that's the pH. The batch volume is right here, 5.5 gallons. Yeah, I do that so that the keg is full at 5, with any loss in the fermenter and stuff like that. Post-boil gravity, 1055 is what we're aiming for. Post-boil kettle, we're aiming for 6.5. So, I have this dialed in to be about losing a gallon an hour. So once we get to the boil and we start boiling for an hour at about 50 to 55% efficiency on the element, it should boil off about a gallon. So keep an eye on that and just make sure all of our numbers are right. Alright, so now that we've come up to 200, I went ahead and set it to 100% manual mode so we can reach that boil. And we're getting there. A couple more degrees. I don't remember, we're not like high elevation or anything. I don't remember what that gets to. I think it's like 210 or something when it starts to actually boil, but we're getting there. So we got our hops ready. Got our hop screen down there. I'm not really sure I'm going to use the hop screen this time. I may actually forego it because there's not even an ounce of hops in this beer. I think all told it's something like 3/4 of an ounce, as it's a very light IBU beer. So yeah, I might just chuck them in. I think it'll be fine. At a nice boil point. I'm going to go ahead and turn this down. Turn it down to, say, 55 is usually what I used to do. There we go, 55. So 55% efficiency or power output on that element, so we can maintain a good rolling boil without it being out of hand. And it's a little slow on cranking it down, so that'll give that a second to calm down. Got a good hot break going here. Maybe give it a little stir, kind of stir in some of that foam. Yeah, it'll die down real quick. Usually I'm a little faster with turning down that power. But hey, give me a break. I haven't brewed in 6 months. Yeah, we'll give that a little bit to settle down, then I'll go ahead and add the hops. All right, the first hop drop at 60 minutes. It's going to be the Bitter Gold. And I ended up just setting it to 55. We'll go ahead and start that timer. 60 minutes. Chuck in those hops. Now I like to take the remaining water that's left in the HLT, which is probably 5-6 gallons, something like that. I move it over here to the mash tun after I've rinsed it out. I'll go ahead and put in some PBW or some Sandy-Clean. It really just depends on how filthy the kettle is. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little PBW wash, I think, since we got some time here. Alright, so since we have 6 gallons of water in there, it calls for 1 to 2 ounces per gallon of water. So I'm just going to do 1. It's not that dirty, so do 6 ounces for 6 gallons of water. And the water is probably about 130 now, so it's nice and warm. I'll go ahead and dump that in there. And then I'll take my spoon and mix it up, and then we'll go ahead and let it start to circulate. I got the pump going now. So this is going to let it circulate. I'll probably let it circulate a good 15-20 minutes, give or take. We got about 21 minutes left in the boil, so kind of timing it to that in some ways. And every brew day, I whip up a new batch of Star Sand. I know it keeps for a while, and I usually keep it in between brew days in a keg, so I can use it for various things. But since it's a brew day, we're going to make a new batch. 1 ounce of the good stuff, 5 gallons of water. Just take our spoon, mix it up real good. I'll have some fresh Star Sand to use for the end of the brew day, and then for whatever else I need it for. Alright, with 15 minutes left on the boil, we have the Fuggles, the Strizzle Sprout, the Yeast Nutrient, the Whirlflock Tablet, and the Cinnamon. Quite a lot of stuff going in there here at the end. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm starting to hook up the chiller just to get all the air bubbles out when we start to recirculate while we're still boiling. I'm going to do that here in the next couple of minutes. Okay, got everything hooked up now. Coming out of the boil kettle, through that wort pump, and then through the chiller, coming back up and through the recirculation port of the kettle. And so now that we're under that 10 minutes, we're at 9 minutes left of the boil. This is kind of where I like to do this because gives it a chance to sanitize everything, sanitize the chiller, sanitize that port. And as you can see, when you start to do that, there's the air bubbles. So I kind of want to do that now while it's boiling. This is a trick I learned from main brew guy Gary. So you do that now while it's boiling. That way the air bubbles don't oxygenate the wort unintentionally while you're still trying to finish up your brew day. So now it has a chance to recirculate fully through everything while it's still boiling, and make sure everything is nice and sanitized. Now it wouldn't be a brew day without thinking on your feet when you run into a glitch. So we had another glitch today. I guess lessons learned. Use the hop spider, even if there's only 3/4 of an ounce of hops. The chiller seemed to have gotten clogged, as you can see. So I ended up having to, just a public service announcement for you guys, if this ever happens to you with your chiller, your counterflow chiller, you can reverse these, which is what I ended up doing here. So now instead of going the normal way that I going forward and coming out the top, I'm running it for the chilling portion reverse, just so I was able to unclog that chiller. So when I go ahead to move everything into the fermenter, I'll probably switch it back, or I'll leave it. I guess it doesn't really matter. But yeah, that reading that I showed you earlier wasn't true. It really wasn't flowing. That's why it was still showing 60 degrees, which is pretty much what the temperature is here. So that was just room temperature for the garage. So now we're coming down finally. We're aiming for a 1055 beer, and that's pretty close. I'm going to call it 1055. Yeah, so definitely using the hop spider next time, even with low hops, I guess. Let's take a look. Yeah, 5.5. Yeah, right at 5.5 gallons in the kettle in the fermenter. Great. That's exactly what I was after. Let's go ahead and put that off to the side. Got our yeast starter here. This is the Juggernaut. Just came off of the stir plate, so it's rip roaring, ready to go. Looks like chilling went really, really well. So we're gonna start off with a cooler start, unfortunately. That's okay. I'm gonna put a heat bell on this thing and we'll bring it up. I'm just gonna go ahead and dump the whole thing in there. Don't really have to stir it. Get the rest of it off the bottom anyway. There we go. It's off to the races. Then we have our tilt in here. It's been sitting in the star sand for a while. Go ahead and dunk that in there as well. And thanks to 5-star, everything's all nice and clean. This is the after the HBW and the star sand rinse. Still drying, but nice shiny kettles, shiny elements. Does a great job.